Good afternoon, everybody.
At the White House press briefing, the bottom line on Donald Trump and his stunner of a proposal for the Gaza Strip.
President Trump is an outside-of-the-box thinker and a visionary leader.
For all who missed it, here's Trump's idea. The U.S. would own Gaza, send the roughly 2 million Palestinians devastated by war to live in some other country or countries, clear the rubble, and build in its place, as Trump put it,
I don't want to be cute, I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East.
Inviting the people of the world to then live there. All of it, seemingly regardless of what Palestinians may want, all of them moved out temporarily, the White House now emphasizes.
The president has made it clear that they need to be temporarily relocated out of Gaza for the rebuilding of this effort. Again, it's a demolition site right now. It's not a livable place for any human being.
Reaction to Trump's proposal globally was swift, with some suggesting it would spark fresh hatred. A number of world leaders rejected the idea, including Saudi Arabia.
Morning.
At a United Nations office in Copenhagen, it was labeled nonsense and unlawful.
People talk of ethnic cleansing. No, it's worse. It's worse. It's forced displacement. It's inciting to commit forced displacement, which is an international crime.
Freeze and freeze!
At the Pentagon, having had his talks with Trump, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the new U.S. Secretary of Defense.
It's an honor to welcome you to the Pentagon.
With the White House not ruling out using the U.S. military on this, Pete Hegseth was asked directly, is he working on plans for U.S. troops in Gaza?
And we look forward to working with our allies, our counterparts, both diplomatically and militarily, to look at all options. But we certainly would not get ahead of the president or provide any details about what we may or may not do. That's just bad military planning. That's all we have.
Among the countries rejecting Trump's plan, Adrienne, Jordan, which is one of the places in which Trump expects Gazans to be resettled. Jordan's King Abdullah will meet with Trump next week here in Washington.
And Paul, as with tariffs, I imagine there are a lot of people wondering, can this be real, or is this a Trump negotiating tactic for something else?
Yeah, well, no one knows. The White House did say he's been, in their terms, socialing this for a while, thinking on it. But whether he'd force the issue is unclear. Despite the pushback, the White House did note today other countries have pushed back on Trump in just the past 2 weeks on other matters and then changed their minds.
All right. Paul Hunter in Washington. For about 2 million Palestinians, Gaza is the only home they have. And as Margaret Evans shows us, many there bitterly dismissed Trump's proposal.
One of Gaza's impromptu graveyards, the dead buried hastily when bombs were falling. For many, there is still one more journey to make, home to the places they were forced from when they lived. Shireen Talaba has come for her brother Khalil and 2 cousins, all killed by Israeli fire, she says, in separate incidents. We have no one but our family, she says. We refuse to return home without them. It is just one scene of many as Gazans try to piece together what's left of their lives during a fragile ceasefire. News of Donald Trump's hopes to own Gaza and empty it of Palestinians has been met with fury, disdain, and despair.
He will come now with his all the plan to evacuate not just Gaza Strip, to all Palestine.
During his first presidency, Donald Trump recognized Jerusalem as the Israeli capital, despite Palestinian hopes for a state with occupied East Jerusalem as its capital. Trump's latest proposal on Gaza is widely seen as a gift to hard-line Jewish nationalists who want to resettle Gaza themselves and annex the occupied West Bank. Now we work to permanently bury the dangerous idea of a Palestinian state, says the Israeli finance minister. Some Gazans fear that Egypt and Jordan's refusal to take in Gaza's population won't hold.
Eventually, they will agree to move the Gaza people from Gaza.
Others say nothing will uproot them.
Trump cannot do anything here because in front of him there is a great people so-called Palestinian people.
Every day, Gazans are still returning to the homes they had to leave behind. Some, like Shireen Talaba, to bury their dead for a second time.
More than 500,000 Palestinians have returned to the ruins of northern Gaza, Adrienne, since the ceasefire began, and they are determined to stay there.
And Margaret, it's really hard to imagine how much more pressure these comments put on that fragile ceasefire.
That's right. In the eyes of the Palestinians, the Arab world, they are really incendiary. It's incendiary to drop it into the mix right now, especially when you saw the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, nodding along when theoretically Israel is committed to a ceasefire process that is supposed to negotiate issues like who controls Gaza or governs it, who rebuilds it. And Hamas is now demanding that Donald Trump retract those comments.
All right, Margaret Evans in London.